All right, what up, Tycoon? Super excited for today's video. Going to break down ABNB. Okay, this is Airbnb. We're looking at the daily chart. Okay, I'm going to go over some of the things that I was looking at the last time I charted up ABNB, and then we're going to go down to the 1 hour chart afterwards and look at some of the more recent price action. Okay, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video, and we're going to jump straight into it. All right, we're looking at our volume profile over here to the right. This shows you volume by price. Okay, most people are familiar with volume by time, but volume by price over here is going to give you some really key data that you need to pay attention to. All right. So the first thing you see is this big volume gap up here. This does two things. Okay, this either creates a wall that you're not going to be able to surpass, or if you are able to break through these levels, then you're going to move quickly through the volume gap to the next high volume nodes. All right. And we can take a look at my blue breakout level right here. And you can see that, once we started to get above there, right, the volume did not step in and we reversed shortly. Okay. I've been paying attention to this blue breakout level because we have a daily gap on the chart right here above 130 at about 131, 132. Right. So I was looking to see if Airbnb was going to be able to keep bullishness up, okay, and blow through this volume gap and reach our daily gap on the chart. Those fill about 90% of the time historically in the stock market. The big question is, when are they going to fill, right? You can't really predict if it's going to fill sometime in the short term, or it may take a few years to fill, right? With that being said, we have another gap right here that we created to the upside, okay, right underneath 125, right? So and that really started the sell-off. Okay, once we gap down right here, that started our sell-off. Okay, we're rebounding, right? But it looks to be a, kind of either a three-wave move. Okay, that could take us back down all the way to the lows of 91, 96. But first, we'd have to break through our price level here of about 100 and 105. Okay, those are going to be the next major support levels, really psychological levels as well that you need to pay attention to. Okay. What we look and see here was we broke this trend line finally. Okay, we did a really good job of bouncing off of this trend line multiple times, and once we finally broke through that bullish trend line, you can see it was a very big bloodbath. All right, so it makes sense for the price to recover after such a big drop, but we got rejected here at the 61.8% level on our fibs. Okay, also right along the 50 SMA on our daily chart. Okay, we tried to bounce off of our 100 moving average, and in that process, we actually gapped down. Okay, and created another gap up to fill. So we gapped down here, trying to fill the previous gap down that we had from this area to this area. Now, as you can see, we've started filling that area right here. So the only remaining portion of the gap is going to be right here at these levels. Okay, so the gap is just down, just above 106. Okay, it's going to be at 106.25, let's call it, is going to be the bottom of this gap here, maybe 126.30. So you can look to see if we're going to reject the 50% level on our fibs. All right, we're going to hold this level below 108.81. Most likely we're going to come down and fill this gap. All right, but we could see a little bounce back up to the upside to try to fill this gap. And again, that's right along our 100 SMA right there. So, that would make sense if we come up here just to fill the gap and then get rejected right along or right at the gap fill and the 100 SMA. All right, we'll go ahead and take a look at the 1 hour chart. Okay. And I'll show you guys what I'm looking at, what I've been watching there, and what I really see happening here in the shorter term for Airbnb. Okay. I'm going to, maximize the screen a little bit. All right. And we're going to go over the patterns. All right. So we had a nice bullish channel that, Airbnb was trading in last week. Really good momentum there. And then we created a selling channel. We broke through that. Okay. Monday and Tuesday were very, very big bullish days. Wednesday, the market dropped, but as you can see, it was a very nice recovery in Airbnb and many other stocks as well. So it was kind of a green day to a lot of people who bought this initial dip because they were expecting a pullback to previous levels in the day, right? And what we did in that process was create bearish divergence and a double top. Okay, so here's our first top, here's our second top. We look at the RSI, we're in a downtrend. Okay, so that's what's known as bearish divergence, when you're maintaining the same levels or creating a high and a higher high, but the RSI is making a high and a lower high. That was a nice little indicator that we could see some bearish activity. We have a 1 hour gap down right here to about 107. We're filling that today. Okay, currently in the process, bouncing off of this 107.2 support level. All right. But that's a nice little 1 hour gap we have down to fill. And then we have another 1 hour gap down to fill right at this level here. Okay. So to me, this is going to play out as what I like to call the M pattern, and which is semi-typical to see once you have a double top. All right. And so basically it would look like this. Here's our M pattern. All right. And if we come down and fill this 1 hour gap down here, then that is a perfect M pattern. And I do see that seeming to have some chances, some high chances of playing out. Okay, so if you're looking for some put options, maybe I would go 106, 105 with like October or November expiration. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and dive into the option contracts real quick and look at the option chain. And if you go ahead and look at October 21st expiration, and we'll go ahead and look at the open interest over here. This is how many contracts are being held total, right? It's outweighing the open interest on the call side. So this means that more people are betting that Airbnb is going to go down in the month or by October 21st than they are betting it's going to be bullish. Okay. So the next one that has really high open interest is that 105 contract. Okay, these 110s right here, these are deep in the money, and those have the highest, pretty much like the highest open interest on this particular option chain date, right? So if you wanted to, you could buy some in the money puts on this, all right, or you could come here and look for the 105s in the October expiration. You just have to be mindful of that daily gap up. Okay, I went over the daily gap up. So if we do find some support here today, all right, and we're filling this gap, and let's say this is going to be our support level right around 107, and we do come up to fill that gap that we looked at on the daily chart. That's when I would start looking at some of these contracts, or maybe grab a smaller position now, a starter position as I like to call it, just in case we come up and fill that daily gap. And then you can look to catch this 1 hour gap down and also the daily gap down that we pointed out as well. Okay, here's our daily, here's the gap on the daily chart, and then here's that gap up on the daily chart as well. All right, we're still looking at the 1 hour, but this is my daily drawing set. All right, so clean rejection here at 112.78 at the price level. Okay, we're currently battling, we opened this candlestick right at the 108.81, 50% retracement, and we're heading down. Okay, so that's a good sign. But if we get above 108.81, most likely we will fill this gap around the 110 area. So keep that in mind. Hopefully you liked the video, and I'm out. Okay.